Hi everyone. Hello. Am I audible to all of you? Can everyone hear me? Great. Welcome everyone. Good morning to all of you. Really happy that all of us have the rigor today to learn in the morning and start with a very new important topic, right? So we are simultaneously streaming today on both Unacademy and YouTube. Let me just quickly see. Give me a minute. Let me just quickly see if everything is all right. All right, perfect. I hope everyone can hear me. Let me just quickly see if the settings all right on both ends. Perfect. Chalo, let's start. We're already, I think, a minute late. Let's not delay it any further, right? Hi everyone. Hello. I think the connection is all right on my end. If anyone is facing any issues, please make sure you just reconnect once again so that everything's all right. All right. Okay. Perfect. Chalo, let's start. Welcome everyone to today's class. We're going to be covering very two important topics today. Two very important data structures, that is stacks and cubes. Okay. Before starting with the topic, let me just quickly take a minute here to introduce myself and give an introduction. So my name is Riya Bansal. I am currently working as a software engineer at Flipkart. Previously, I have worked at InterviewBit and Scaler Academy. I have also worked at American Express, Amazon, and Coding Blocks. I have a lot of teaching experience. I have been teaching students for the past 3-4 years, and that number just keeps on increasing as I mentor and teach all of you, right? And today I'll be taking the class on two very important data structures, that is going to be stacks and cubes. Okay. With this, let's just take a quick poll here to understand our audience today, right? I would want to take a good idea if everyone is comfortable with what we are going to cover today, and if anyone wants, an introduction once again, or we want to start the topic from the very basics. Okay. So I'll just quickly take a poll here. Okay, I'll just quickly take a poll here. You have to mark true in that poll if you want to cover everything from the very basics. Okay, and you'll quickly put a false if you want things to go at the intermediate level. Okay, so we'll take a look at the audience today of what we have as audience, and then we will quickly decide on that part. Okay, so let's just quickly see what we have as an audience. Hello to everyone on YouTube as well. All right. Okay. Let's end the poll. I see that people do want to cover the topic from scratch. So what we'll do is we'll take everything from scratch and try to develop our concepts from there. Okay, just one thing that I will be needing from all of you during the lecture is, okay, so all of you must be having a thumbs up option in the chat, right? You must be having that emoticon, right? So what exactly you have to do is you have to use that as much as possible. Okay, if I am, let's say, teaching something, और अगर आपको वो concept clear है, if that whole topic makes sense to you, then what you have to do is you will have to quickly give a thumbs up on the chat. Okay, and for those all of you who feel that the topic is a little bit easier and you feel that it is not clear, you can do is you can say, ma'am, please repeat kar do, kindly repeat that topic, and what we'll do is we'll quickly take that topic up again. Okay, so that is the process that we will be following, and that is just one expectation that all of you will have to show from your side. Okay, so let me share my screen now. Let me share my screen. Okay, is the screen visible to all of you? ठीक है, तो आई बिलीव देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स दैट वी हैव टुडे इन द क्लास, है ना. परफेक्ट. चलो चलो perfect. चलो, so we have two data structures that we want to cover today. All right, just give me a minute. ठीक है, so what we will be taking an introduction today is for stacks. ठीक है, so what exactly is a stack is, ठीक है, हम इसको visualize करेंगे by a stack of plates, है ना. Everyone has seen stack of plates. Let's say we have a stack of plates that is going on like this, or let's actually Google something as well to see if we can see a good example. चलो देखते हैं. See, अच्छा बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल मिल गया. I actually found a good example. Just try to look at these photos here. ठीक है, let's try to look at this photo here. So what exactly are we looking as is, we see a stack, है ना. Everyone is able to see a stack of chairs where there are chairs on top of one another, है ना. And now if you want to grab a chair, what you quickly do is you always take the chair which is present at the top, है ना. I hope everyone agrees to this कि if you want a chair, you will always grab the chair that is present at the top of the stack, है ना. And if you want to, let's say, grab the fourth chair, है ना, if you want to grab the fourth chair, what you will do is you can only do that once you have removed the first chair, the second chair and the third chair, है ना. And this is what stack is. ठीक है, अगर आपको बहुत ही रियल लाइफ एग्जाम्पल लेना है, if you want to visualize it in a way so that it's very something that you can remember, then what you can do is you can visualize in that way where you see a stack of chairs. ठीक है, तो in terms of programming also, ठीक है, in the terminology of programming also we do and learn that topic that way as well. ठीक है, तो stack is nothing, a data structure of that part wherein things are stacked on top of one another. ठीक है, and what exactly happens is we also calls it a last in first out kind of a structure. ठीक है, this is last in first out. That means that the chair that was put at the top of the stack in the end will be the one that I will take out first. ठीक है, इसका यही मतलब है. This is the exact meaning of that part, that this is going to be a last in first out kind of a data structure. All right, ठीक है. Now let's try to understand what are the operations that we can perform on top of this stack. ठीक है, let's try to understand some operations also. So the first operation that we are going to have is going to be a push operation. The second operation is going to be a pop operation. Now when I say push operation, that basically means adding something to stack, and when I say pop, I mean removing something from stack. ठीक है, let's say I have, let's say, plate 1, plate 2, plate 3, plate 4. Now if I have to add something on the top of the stack, that means adding is nothing but pushing, है ना. Let's say I am putting P5 on the top of the stack. So when I put something to the stack, that is called a push operation. And when I say, let's say I am removing P5, है ना, so when I am removing P5, that means that is a pop operation. So I have simply removed it, है ना. Now I also have a pointer that is by the name top. ठीक है, let's say there is a pointer that has been by the name top, and this pointer basically points always to the top of the stack. All right, there is a pointer. Okay, this is going to be a pointer which is always going to be pointing to the top of the stack. All right, that means that is the most objective, that is the objective that we are going to have today. So let's say if I remove P4, or I say I pop P4, that means P4 will be removed here and I will have P3 at the top. Now do you think I can directly remove P1 at this point? What do you think? Can I directly remove P1? No, right? I cannot remove P1 because it is not present at the top of the stack. I can only remove those things that are present at the top of the stack. Okay. Now there are some people who feel that what exactly is a pointer. So pointer is basically something that is pointing to a particular address. Okay. Let's say I have a variable here top which is pointing to the top of the stack. That is the only purpose that we have to look at here. Okay. Now there are some other few things also that we need to know about stack. Okay. Let's also take a look here what will be the implementations of stack. How can we actually implement stack at this point? Okay. Now let's say the first way of doing this is an array. Okay. Now if I am using an array, okay, now if I am using an array, so what I am saying is कि you use an array here. Okay. Now array is going to be of fixed size. Okay. Now let's say the size here is 10. So when I say, let's say push p, let's say push, I am pushing the elements. So let's say if I do push 5, so 5 comes here. Let's say I do push 12, then 12 comes here, and there is a pointer that is top. Then there is a push that is 15. So 15 comes here and this pointer simply moves here. Okay, you can see here कि I have taken a data structure like array here and I am implementing the stack using this data structure. Let's say I am pushing 9. So 9 comes here. Okay, and the top pointer actually comes here. Now let's say I do pop 12. So that is not a valid operation because I cannot do that. But if I do pop 9, that means that is valid. 9 is removed and the top of the stack simply comes here. Okay. Now what do you think are the advantages or the disadvantages? I want you all to think first, then I will tell the answer. What do you think are the advantages and the disadvantages of this kind of an approach of using arrays? Okay. Correct. Very good. I see a lot of people are giving right answers as well here. ठीक है, चलो, let's discuss. I believe most of you gave the right answer and actually understood the concept also, which I was trying to tell. ठीक है, तो what I can say so far is, if I have to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages, the advantage is first, it is easy to implement, है ना? It is very easy to implement. Using arrays is one of the most easiest operation that we can do here, है ना? But the disadvantage is first is this is the array is of fixed size, है ना? The array is of fixed size at this point. That means the array is not dynamic. if let's say I define the size of the array initially 10, that means the stack cannot have more than 10 elements, है ना? That is the disadvantage. That means it is not dynamic. It does not increase or shrink as my size of the stack increases or decreases. ठीक है? So the array is of fixed size and thus stack is not dynamic. ठीक है? So this is the disadvantage and this is going to be the advantage. ठीक है? Two more important conditions that you need to take care of at this particular point of time is going to be the condition of stack overflow. ठीक है? Now what exactly stack overflow is? Let's say I had the size of 10, है ना? And let's say I had the size of 5, which was fixed, and I added elements 20 and I added elements 30. Now what happens is, if the size is 5 and there are already 5 elements, and let's say you push a 25, then that condition is called a stack overflow condition. That basically means that I am adding an element to the stack which is already filled, है ना? And the second condition is going to be the stack underflow condition. ठीक है? These are two very important terms and you should be remembering these while solving questions. Alright? Okay. Give me a second. I think this got disconnected. Just give me a minute, alright? So the second condition that we have here is going to be of stack underflow. I think this is disconnecting. Give me a second, I'll just change the wire and then connect all of you again. Just give me a minute, alright? Sorry for the issue. I'm not able to connect the iPad. Right. So the second condition that we have here is this is kind of the second condition that we had was of stack underflow. What happens in the stack underflow condition is that we are removing something from an empty stack. Guys, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Yes, I know the screen is not visible. It's showing some issues, I believe. should be fine now, I suppose. Okay, so these were the two conditions that you should be careful of when you basically want to take care of arrays when we are implementing stacks. Okay, another thing that you can use here, so this was the first implementation, that here we were using arrays. The second way you can implement stack is going to be through linked list. Okay, and now you will see that linked list is actually very good and solves a lot of our problems here at this particular point of time. Alright, so when you are using, let's say, a push operation or you are doing a pop operation, so if you know the concept of linked list, you can simply do add at head here. Okay, and you can do remove at head. Okay, so these are the two operations that you can very easily do with linked list, and here you do not get stack overflow or stack underflow conditions. So stack overflow will never come, but yes, stack underflow condition can come. Alright, so these are the two things that you need to take care of. Right, now what we'll do is we'll quickly take a look at queues as well. Okay, let's quickly take a view at queues as well of what exactly are queues. Then we will move back to some problem solving. But before that, just give a thumbs up if this much part is clear of what exactly is a stack and how are you going to perform operations on the stack. Clear to everyone? Gorakh, underflow basically means that you are removing something from the stack which is already empty, है ना? So you cannot remove anything from the stack which is already empty, है ना? So that is the whole concept here that we want to do. Okay, linked list is another data structure which you can use to solve this problem. So stack is nothing but going to be a last in first out data structure. Okay, chalo. If there's any doubt that you are facing, definitely there are TAs in the chat who are probably answering the same questions again and again, right? So that is their help that you can take at this point. All right. Chalo. Let's quickly discuss the new data structure that is going to be queues. Okay. Now what exactly is a queue, right? Now try to visualize queue also in terms of a real life scenario. Let's take an example for that as well. See, now what exactly is happening is there is a queue of people. Okay, let's say there is this lady which is starting or which is basically standing at the front of the queue, है ना? And let's say there is this another lady which is standing at the end of the queue, है ना? So what exactly will happen is whenever they are standing, let's say, in a queue of paying electricity bills, right? So whatever happen will, whenever the ticket person will call the next people, this lady will go to the counter first, then will be followed by this person, then will be followed by this person, and then this. So what we can say is queue is actually what can say is going to be a first in first out data structure, right? First in first out data structure is that part wherein the person which came in the queue first is going to enter or is going to be removed first as well. Correct. So like many of you are saying at this point, queue is going to be a FIFO kind of a data structure, right? That basically means that it is going to be a first in first out kind of a data structure. So let's say this is a queue. There is a person P1, person P2, person P3, person P4 and person P5. Now when the next turn will come, this person will go first, then this person will go. So this person came in the queue first and it is removing also from the queue first, correct? Then second this person, then third, then fourth, then fifth, right? So we can basically say that when we talk about operations, so there are going to be two different types of operations that can be performed, right? So the first operation is going to be NQ, and the second is going to be DQ. NQ means nothing but adding elements to queue, and dequeue basically means removing elements from queue. All right, this is the concept and this is what you should actually be knowing. All right, and let's say this is a queue. Let's say I do NQ5, then 5 comes here. Then I say, let's say NQ20, then 20 comes here. Let's say I do NQ21, then 21 comes here. Now let's say I call DQ. When I call DQ, then this 5 is removed. Okay. Now when I say I call NQ, let's say 32, 32 comes here. Let's say I call NQ 26, 26 comes here. When I call DQ, then 20 will be removed. Okay, so this is how you are going to visualize it. Okay, this is how you are going to visualize it. Okay, let's think of some applications also, है ना? Let's think of some applications of this queue kind of a structure. Okay, so what exactly happens is, you would have seen that when you are let's say you bought a washing machine and that washing machine actually did not work, right? That washing machine did not work and you are calling the call center or the customer service center to complain about that washing machine. So what exactly happens is, at that call center they have a queue kind of a structure wherein the person who called first, okay, the person who was called first, his request will first be tackled, and then the person who called after that, his request is going to be tackled after that. Okay, so this is the kind of a structure that we follow here, right? That is the thing that we are going to visualize it in within that end. Many people are giving some example also. In case of CPU task scheduling or disk scheduling also, we follow the same procedure of a queue kind of a structure. Okay, so that is the thing that we need to talk about here. Now, like many of you are saying, how do we implement a queue? Okay, so there are also multiple ways to do that, right? We'll not go into too much details, but we have an array. Okay, again you can think of this as an array kind of a structure only, wherein you can say that you are adding elements to the stack. And please make sure you understand that if you are using a simple array, there are going to be these empty spaces here. Okay, so this is actually a disadvantage at this point. Let's say I called a DQ, then I called a DQ again. That means all of these elements will be removed and there will be a lot of empty spaces at this point. Okay, and what we also do is, let's say if the elements in the queue are this, so we maintain two pointers. We have a rear pointer and we have a front pointer. So if this is the queue, this is the front of the queue, so there is a pointer here which is front, and this is at the end, so this is going to be a rear pointer. Okay, so just to signify where is the start of the queue and where is the end of the queue, we have two pointers, right? So let's say if I remove something from the queue or I dequeue, so this will be removed from here and the front of the queue will come here. So when I am adding something to the queue, rear pointer moves back, but when I am removing something from the queue, the front pointer moves back. Okay? Yes, Sagnik, DQ basically means that we are removing something from the queue. Alright? You can also use the circular array concept here. Okay, you can read about more on the internet for this concept. It basically helps us in storing space, right? Again, we can use the linked list also. Okay, linked list is again going to help us at this point. If I have to do the NQ operation, okay, if I have to do the NQ operation, then what I can simply do is I can do add at head, है ना? Then and else what I can do is I can also use the DQ operation. ठीक है, तो NQ ऑपरेशन दैट वी आर गोइंग टू add at head simply, ठीक है, and then we also can solve the DQ operation for this point, ठीक है. So this is how simply we are going to be using the linked list, and also you can use stacks also. So this is very interesting concept as well, and I will say you should try this as well, which basically means that you can implement queue using stack, ठीक है. And the vice versa is also true, that you can implement stack using queues as well, ठीक है. So these are two very important things, ठीक है, that you should be taking care of while implementation, ठीक है. So like I said, there are several ways of implementing queues. Each has their own disadvantage, each has their own disadvantage also, ठीक है. But what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at the pros and cons, and then going to do the implementation. What happens in a real life scenario is, whenever you're doing competitive programming, so you can write the stack yourself, right? You can use the stack yourself, you can build a stack queue yourself as well, but there is an inbuilt stack queue that is given by Java and C++ and many other languages like that as well, ठीक है. So you can use those inbuilt stack as well, and then we are going to solve the problems. And stack and queues are very repeatedly solved in competitive programming, ठीक है. You will see here that now we are going to solve a lot of questions in which you will be applying stack and queues only, and see how beautifully they solve the question and how beautifully they give a solution to a lot of problems, ठीक है. Linked list is nothing but a linked data structure kind of a scenario, ठीक है. It is a linked data structure kind of a scenario which can grow dynamically. So it is kind of a data structure which can grow dynamically. Alright, so that is the another concept that all of us should know and keep in mind. The example. We have already taken the example of NQs and DQs kind of a scenario and tried to explain that concept, ठीक है. If we are using a linked list as a data structure for implementing queues, ठीक है, so this basically takes extra memory, ठीक है. So this is the disadvantage of using I would say linked list, because linked list has pointers concept of a present here, right? Chalo, now is everyone ready for some problem solving part? I'll give you a problem and then we'll try to understand how do we actually implement it, है ना. तो वो करते हैं, let's quickly do that and try to understand the very concept here, ठीक है. चलो, so there is going to be a particular way in which we are going to solve the questions. So the first part is, I will be telling you a question, ठीक है. I will be telling you a question and you simply have to say, ठीक है, and you simply have to tell me if the question is clear or not, ठीक है. Take 2-3 good minutes, अच्छे से सोचो, try to see if the question makes sense to you or not, and then what we will do is, I will give you 3-4 minutes to think, ठीक है. I'm going to give you some time to think, wherein you can try to understand and give a problem solution for that part or not, ठीक है. If these things make sense to you, तो आप you can put the solution in the chat that ma'am, this is my approach, this is what I am thinking, please tell me if my approach is right or not, ठीक है. Then the teaching assistants will tell you if you are in the right direction or not, right? If you are in the right direction, you can put it in the chat and follow it by a thumbs up, ठीक है. चलो start करते हैं. Let's take the questions one by one and solve them, ठीक है. So it's going to be a mixed question and you will have to figure out yourself if it is going to be solved by stack or queues or any other data structure like that, ठीक है. चलो, let's see how many questions can we cover and how people are comfortable. चलो, so the question basically says that you will be given a string. Okay, you are basically given the string which contains and containing of just characters, this, alright, and we have to determine if the string is valid. Okay. Now, how do I know what to call a string valid? So we can basically say at this point, a string is going to be valid if open brackets must be closed by same type of brackets. Okay, so this is going to be one part for calling a string valid, and secondly, open brackets must be closed in correct order. Okay, so if I want to give you a few examples for this, let us see that as well. Okay, let's say I have a string which is this. So this is going to be valid, so you will put a true. Okay. Secondly, let's say I have this. So this is going to be a false because it is not closed by a correct closing bracket. Okay. Let's say the third example that I give you is this. So this is going to be a true. Okay, because here the ordering of closing is also correct and the correct closing bracket is also used. Okay, the fourth type is going to be this. Let's say another example that I take is this. What do you think? Is it true or false? False, correct? Very good. Now if the question is clear, just give a quick thumbs up, okay, that yes, the question is clear. If you have any doubts about the question, ask it. Otherwise, start solving the question and then I will explain you after 4-5 minutes my approach for solving this question. Clear to everyone? Read the problem statement once again, see if you have any doubts, and don't just tell me the data structure which you are going to use. Also try to explain what kind of an approach you are going to use, right? How you are going to use that data structure at this point to solve the problem. Take 3 minutes, try to put your approaches in the chat and then we will discuss. This question is also called a valid parenthesis question. Okay. Anyone, any approaches of how you are going to do this? Piyush, I think is correct. Let's see. Okay, very good. Lot of people are answering. Himanshu, perfect. Kuntal is perfect. Very good. Shashwat, how you're going to do it? Correct. Lohit is also correct. Chetali, very good. Very good. I see a lot of people answering. Correct. Very good. Let me check the answers on the other end as well. Alright, Code Fire is correct. Piyush Sharma, I think I already said that, is correct. Guys, just don't give an answer in terms of stacks. Also tell how you're going to use a data structure, right? Chalo, let's discuss. Now I want everyone to focus here, okay? And we are going to discuss how exactly we are going to solve this particular question, right? Okay? Chalo. I want everyone to be active, because if you'll keep writing in the chat, you'll actually forget how you are going to, or you'll not be able to understand. Okay? Chalo. Let's discuss the approach that we are going to use to solve this question. Okay, so we're not going to go directly with the approach. Okay, we already know that this is the class that is going on based on stack and queues, correct? So if I directly tell you the answer using stack, you also will not be able to learn it in a concept, because if we are studying the class on stack and queues, then obviously it means that it is somehow going to use those data structures, correct? But what we're going to do is we're going to visualize it in a very good manner, so that even if random questions comes up, you should be able to know that this is the kind of a question that basically uses stack at this point. This is the idea should be that we should be using at this point, right? So what the approach is, let's take an example. Okay, let's take an expression or a string. So let's say the whole expression is this. Now what happens is, this is going to be valid, correct? Now there is some very interesting property, okay? A very interesting property that is going to be is that a particular string, give me a second. If a particular string is going to be valid, then its substrings, or I would say sub expression, this is going to be one sub expression, this is going to be one sub expression, this whole is going to be one sub expression. So you will see here that for a particular string to be valid, okay, for a particular expression to be valid, its sub expression are also going to be valid. Okay, an interesting property is going to be that a valid parenthesis expression is also going to have sub expressions which are also going to be valid. This is a very interesting property here. You will see here that in this example, okay, there was this sub expression which was not valid. There was this sub expression that was not valid. It will not be true for every sub expression, okay? It will not be true for every sub expression, yes, but I would say it will be true for most of the sub expressions, ठीक है. Now you basically have to see here that the property was open brackets must be closed for same type of brackets. मतलब if an opening bracket is this, then the closing bracket has to be this, है ना. Also if an opening bracket is this, then the closing bracket has to be this bracket only, and similarly goes for other part as well, है ना. Now the important thing that you need to know is the second property, that is open brackets must be closed in correct order. Now hear my words very carefully at this point. Open brackets must be closed in correct order. That basically means that the bracket which comes into the picture at the latest time, or I would say in the farther picture, that gets closed first, है ना. You will see here that this expression or this bracket came first and it ends last. This particular bracket came at the later point of time and it is the one that gets closed first. Can you try to visualize any data structure at this point? That the data structure which is actually coming later in the stages, that is the one that is getting closed first. This was the first one, let's say this was the second one, ठीक है, and let's say this was the third one. So the one which is actually coming at the later stages, it is getting closed first. Then let's say in the later staging you are closing one, and then you are closing second, and then you are closing one. Correct. That is the visualization of a last in first out kind of a data structure. Correct. This kind of an expression is not going to be valid. Why? Because first you are going to have a open bracket, then you are going to have a closed bracket, है ना. Think of it in real life scenarios, right? If it is kind of a structure, this cannot be valid, correct? And this is how you are going to visualize it, correct? So what we are going to use is, we are going to use a stack kind of a data structure. Let's say this is the stack that has been given to me. What I will do is, I will take this expression, let's write it down here. So I have an open this, correct. Let's say this is the expression. So what I will do is, whenever I come across an opening bracket, ठीक है, whenever I come across an opening bracket, I am simply going to push it to the stack. So let's say this is an opening bracket, I push it. This is an opening bracket, I push it. Opening bracket, I push it, ठीक है. Now whenever I come across a closing bracket, ठीक है, whenever I come across a closing bracket, whenever I try to close it, I will see the top of the stack. When I look at the top of the stack, we should always have the matching opening bracket for this, ठीक है. We should have a matching opening bracket for this. Now if this is a matching opening bracket, correct. Let's see here. This was the situation when we had a closing bracket, and now I have to look at the top of the stack, and there is a matching bracket at the top of the stack. So I will simply remove it from here, ठीक है. Then I will move to the next part. I come across an opening bracket, you simply put it in the stack. Then you come across a closing bracket. Now when you come across a closing bracket, look at the top of the stack. There is a matching bracket at the top of the stack which is opening, so you simply remove it, ठीक है. Again you come across a closing bracket, on the top of the stack there is a matching bracket, so I can simply say that we can simply remove it. Now I come at the last element of the stack, I will simply see here that there is a matching bracket and I can simply remove it. So in the end I will say, after traversing the whole string, after traversing the whole string, if the stack is empty, then the string is valid. otherwise not, है ना? In the end, if the stack becomes empty, then I can say it is clear, otherwise it will not be a valid. Yes, this approach is going to work each and every time. Alright, this is the example that we are going to work at this point, right? Let's take also an example where this case will fail. Let's take this example only. ठीक है? So I have this. ठीक है? Now what exactly is going to happen at this particular point of time is, right, first I have an opening bracket simply goes into the stack, then I have again opening bracket, again simply goes into the stack, then I have a closing bracket, but for this closing bracket I see the top of the stack, the matching bracket is not the same. Ideally here it should have been this if it wants to be valid. So at this particular case only, okay, at this particular case only I can simply return false. I don't even have to go to the end, because like I said, the sub expression here itself is not valid. Then I can say I am not able to do this. Okay? Let's try to implement it. Right? Priyanshu, but the closing pair is not valid, right? एक बार thumbs up दे दो. Just give a thumbs up everyone if we should go ahead and start writing it on the IDE also, and I will show you the implementation. Chalo, very good. Let's quickly see, okay, if there are any small doubts, they will be cleared in the code, right? Okay. So we have a camp class today. So I am going to be using Java, but you can use any language you want. Sure. Let's quickly see what will be the implementation for this particular question. Okay. Let's say the string str is going to be this. Let's take a valid string only, then we will take the example of invalid strings also. Okay, let's say this is the string. Then let's say I am going to write a function here which basically tells if it is valid or not. Okay, this is the function. Let's print its output, which is going to be simply true or false. Alright, so this is going to be our function, and this is going to return a boolean value, right? This is going to be returning us a boolean value at this point and checking if our implementation is correct or not. So what I will simply do is I will make a stack of character, right? And let's say this call is called this new stack. So this is an inbuilt stack that we are using. All right, we are using a inbuilt stack at this particular point of time. Right now, let's say I iterate over the whole string. The implementation is going to be exactly same for any language you take, right? So please don't be constrained by the language. That is actually not a good practice. Whatever language being given, you should be able to implement your code in that language, right? That is the ideal mentality that you should have. Now I will take each character, right? Now I will check if the character is going to be this, okay, or if the character is going to be this, right, or the character is going to be this. If it is any of these characters, then I simply push the character to the stack. And how do I do it? I do simply st dot push and I simply do ch. Okay? In the else case, it is always going to be a closing bracket. So at this point, I can simply say that you simply do this if the stack is empty. Okay? It should not be the case, right? If you have come across a closing bracket, okay, then there should be a matching opening bracket for that. So if it is empty, you return false. If then otherwise, you look at the top of the stack. Okay? So by peek function, you simply check the element at the top of the stack, right? This is what you're going to do. Then if the character is going to be this, okay, if the current character that you are looking at is this and the character at the top of the stack is not equal to this, then I simply return false. Okay? Else if I can say that I am checking the negation qualities here. Okay? If the character here is this, okay, and ch and p is not equal to this, if it is not equal, then you return false. This is what we had been doing. Else if ch is equal to this and the character at the top of the stack is not this, then you return false. Okay? This is the only thing that you have to do. And in the else case, it will be a match. That means for a closing bracket, we are going to have an opening bracket and we are simply going to pop. Sorry, not push. We're going to pop the element of at the end of the stack. In the end, we simply, so if I have to do that part to check if the stack is empty or not, I can simply do in this way. So this basically means that return true if the stack is empty, otherwise false. Okay? This is what the implementation is actually going to be, right? So this is going to be a true because this was a valid string at this point, right? Now what you are simply going to do is, let's take the example of false as well. So this was the true example. Let's take the example of false also. str2, that is going to be let's say the string is this. Okay, and for this I am passing this, and let's check what the answer will be. For this, the answer is going to be false. Is this clear to each and everyone? How you are going to implement this and how will the implementation look like? Clear to everyone? You can see here the implementation is actually very simple, right? Just the basic matching that you had to do, some basic implementation that you had to understood, and you can do this all right? So I am using Eclipse as an IDE here because it is definitely best for Javas, but you can use any IDE you want, right? Different languages have different basically functionality where they try to do this, correct? Should we move to the next question? Should we move to the next question? और क्वेश्चन डिस्कस करते हैं, है ना? Let's try to solve more and more questions and try to implement them and see how we can actually do them, right? एक बार, can everyone just give a quick thumbs up if this is clear? Then I will explain the next question to you. All right, perfect. Chalo, let's move forward. Let me start it again. Chalo, perfect. Let's start with the next question. Let me just check the screen once again. Chalo. All right. So the next question that we are going to cover is also very interesting and a very good question as well. Okay, let's try to see how we are going to implement it and what is going to be the right, I would say, implementation for that question. Okay, let me just quickly see how can I explain that question so that it makes sense to each and everyone, right? Let me quickly see that and then I will share the question with all of you, right? Okay, so the next question is, I will write the whole question on the screen. Just try to visualize it in a easier manner. Okay, the question is very simple. It basically says that find the just greater element on right side of each element. Okay, again a very popular question. The question statement is this much and you just have to find the just greater element. Okay, so here let's take some example and usse it will make more sense, right? Let's say the elements are 4, 5, 2, 25, right? And now let's see what the answer will be. Now for 4 on the right side, which is just greater element, the element is 5, है ना? Now for 5 on the right side, what is the just greater element? That is 25, right? Now for 2, the just greater element is 25 again, है ना? Now for 25, there is no greater element on the right side, so the answer is -1. So if the input array is given in this way, the answer is going to look like this. Okay, this is what it is essentially going to be. Let's take one more example. Let's say the elements, let's take a bigger array, 10, 7, 4, 2, 9, 10, 11, and let's say 3 and 2. Now I want all of you to answer. Okay, I want all of you to answer. Okay, I want you all to answer and tell me the value simultaneously. Okay, for 10, what do you think is going to be the just next greater element? Greater element and just greater. Perfect. For 7, 9. For 4, 9. For 2, again 9. Very good. For 9, 10. For 10, it is going to be 11. For 11, why are some people saying 32? 3 and 2 are different elements. That is not 32. It is -1. For 3, it is going to be -1, and for 2 also it is going to be -1. So this is the array that is given to you. Now think of an approach how you will solve this question, and your output should look like this for this array. Okay? Give a thumbs up if the question is clear. The greater element should be on the right side. Okay? If there is no greater element, then you are simply going to put a, I would say here a -1. Okay? Now you will see here that for this element 2, this element was also greater, है ना? This element was also greater, and this element was also greater, but you have to put the just greater element, okay, just corresponding on the right side. So that is why you gave an answer 9 for this 2. Okay? Implementation is alright, we can discuss that later, but try first to see how you are going to implement this question, right? Let's take 3-4 minutes, think about the implementation, then we will discuss the overall idea. Think the best approach to solve this question. So for a particular element, you can see that there are going to be many other elements as well, right? And let me just giving just one more last minute, and then we are going to discuss the solution. Okay, I see a lot of people. Chalo, let's quickly see how we are going to implement it. ठीक है, let's take an example. ठीक है, let's take an example here and then we will try to understand the whole concept. ठीक है, we'll take some good example and try to do the visualization in that way only, right? Okay, let's take some intuitions. ठीक है, I'll give some random examples और उससे आप बताना what do you think is the answer. ठीक है, चलो. Let me present those cases to all of you. Case 1. ठीक है, now I want everyone to focus here. Right, now tell me if the array would have been this, what will be the answer? बताओ. करेक्ट. तो यहाँ से वी लर्नड वन कॉन्सेप्ट दैट इफ ऑल द एलिमेंट्स आर इन अ डिक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर, if all the elements are in a decreasing order, the answer is going to be -1, है ना. This is going to be the answer. So I had 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. This is the decreasing sequence I was following. अच्छा, अब ये बताओ. Let's say the values are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 10. अब बताओ, what do you think is the answer here? And try to take some idea from here. Correct, very good everyone. The answer is going to be this, है ना. तो I hope everyone is trying to see what point I am trying to come to, है ना. तो idea ये है, for all the elements less than 10, for all the elements less than 10 in a decreasing sequence, the answer is going to be 10 for all of them, है ना. This is the answer that I am going to have. Let's take one more example. Let's say I have 11, 4, 3, 2, 10 and 12. Now we can see here that till 2 the values are increasing, 11, 4, 3, 2. So till 2 I can say that the values are decreasing and we basically have a decreasing sequence here, and after that it is a increasing sequence, है ना. After that we have a increasing sequence of a value 10 and a 12. That basically means that for all the elements less than 10 here, the answer is going to be 10, 10, 10, है ना. So for all the elements less than 10, the answer is going to be 10, 10 and 10, and simply I put it. So that is problem that I have solved, and after that I only have 11, 10 and 12 left. This again forms a sequence of 11, 10, 11, 10 and then 12. That basically means that this is again a decreasing sequence followed by a increasing sequence. So for this and this, the answer is going to be 12, 12, and the last element is going to have -1, है ना. This is the idea that we are going to use here. तो अगर इसको थोड़ा विजुअलाइज करना है ना, इसको ऐसे विजुअलाइज करते हैं. 11, 4, 3, 2. This is a sequence. Then we have a increasing sequence. Then we have a 10 and then we had a 12. So till the time we are going for decreasing sequence, that's okay. But the moment we come across an increasing value, all these values I can simply say will have the answer 10, है ना. All these values 4, 3, 2 after coming across a hype in an increasing sequence will have the answer 4. And if you will see here that after that I am left with only 11, 10 and 12 at this point. And for this, what I can simply do is again form a sequence of 11, 10 and 12, and that basically means that I can have these values that are lesser and they will have the answer 12. So for this also 12, this also 12, and for this -1. because that is the last element. For how many people does this visualization of I would say a graph kind of a structure make sense? That we are always trying to find a decreasing sequence, then immediately find a greater value, and that will basically try to cover all the smaller values, and on sabka answer will be simply 10 at this point. For how many people does the idea make sense? Is the explanation clear? How you can actually do this, right? And this is how you are going to solve the question. Okay, so what we basically try to do is, let's try to visualize it with a data structure. हमारे पास values थी 11, 4, 3, 2, 10 and 12. Till the time I come across a decreasing sequence, I am adding the elements 11, then 4, then 3, then 2. The moment I come across a value which is greater than the value present here, that is 10 is greater than 2, है ना? We all know, give me a second. What it is trying to portray here is that the moment you come across a decreasing sequence, you keep adding, and the moment you come across an increasing sequence, you remove it. Okay, let's try to do it on the ID. Okay, let's try to do it on the ID. Let's try to do the implementation. Then it will make sense. Let's say the values are 11, so you put it in the stack, 4 in the stack, 3 in the stack, 2 in the stack. So whenever you come across a 10, you simply wipe these values. Now you cannot remove 11. Why? Because it is greater. So you put 10 here, then you come across a 12, and 12 can wipe all these values, and in the end just one value is left which can actually put it. Correct? Rajnandi, we actually use a stack using array only, okay, for most of the cases. So we can simply say that an array can solve purpose here also. In the end, we are actually using a stack using array list only for smaller purposes. So it's kind of a same idea only. You only need the top array, but the functionality here is of the stack only. That is why we say and call it in terms of that. Okay, let's quickly try to implement it and see if we can get the idea or not. Let's say I am hard coding an array. Right, let's say I have the values which is 4, 5, 2 and 25. Okay, let's say these are the values that are given to me, right? Now what I am simply going to do is I have to print the next greater element for all of these values. Let me create a function for that. Okay, let me create a function and I will write the implementation in that function only. So let's say next greater, and I simply pass the array. Okay, I simply passing the array to that function. Okay, let's also pass the size. Okay, so now what exactly happens is, so I make a new stack. Okay, so I have made a new stack, and currently I can say that s dot top, let's say, is going to be -1, because there are currently the top of the stack is nowhere, right? So that is how I am pointing, just to say that no elements are there in the stack. All right, then let's try to see if we can form a function here so that it does not affect our functionality. Okay, just give me a second. I think my screen's hanging. Chalo. So we have made a new stack at this point, and let's say I am making the resultant array for storing all the answer values. Okay, and that is going to be all right. Okay, let's name it with a different value, right? Or ARR 1. Okay, now I simply iterate the array. Okay, I will iterate simply the value which we cannot store. So I can simply say that at this point, till the time either the stack becomes empty, okay, and I can say s dot peak is less than the array element, the current element. So if it is less than, then it will definitely be used. So I simply pop it. You know, this is the thing that we used to do. If the element is less, then we simply remove it because it is covered. So at this point, if the stack is empty, okay, if the stack is empty, so in the resultant array, I simply push -1. In the else case, I can simply do this. Okay, this is what I will be doing, and in the end I will simply push the item. Okay, this is what we will be doing, and in the end we can simply print all the values, है ना. हम end में सारी values को simply print कर सकते हैं and we can see if we got the right solution or not. So in order to do that, let's just iterate from the array and print all the values of the new array, correct? So this is the values that I am doing here. So let's just quickly verify. So we have made a new stack, we also have a resultant value, okay, and then we are going to implement this. So you can see that for 4 we got 5 as the next greater element, then for 5 we got 25, that for 2 we got 25 again, and for 25 there was no greater value. एक बार अगर इसको visualize करना है, we can do this way also. See, यहाँ पे you will be able to find the next greater element more easily, है ना. We can see here that we can do this implementation and work out the ways as well. For how many people is this absolutely clear? ठीक है, try to visualize in this way only. You will see that you can go to each and every element. ठीक है, this is nothing but iterating all the elements from the end, है ना. तो सबसे पहले we will have a 25, है ना. We will have a 25 in this and we will say that currently the stack is empty, so you simply push 25, which was the last element, है ना. Now what basically happens was, then you have a 2 at this point, है ना. You will see here that 2 is definitely not greater than the element that is present at the top of the stack. So you simply put that value in this I would say stack itself again. So this is how we are putting the values again and again, right? At this point I am putting the code as well, checking if the current value is greater than the value at the top of the stack, है ना. If it is, then we remove it from the stack, ठीक है. And -1 if it is the greatest value, otherwise we will put it otherwise we will put the value here. Clear to everyone how the implementation will actually work, है ना. यही implementation you will have to follow and this is how you are going to do the implementation as well, ठीक है. So this was a typical question of stack again, ठीक है, in which the element which is actually coming at the later stage we simply try to pop all of them, ठीक है. You don't necessarily have to use a stack here, ठीक है. Array can also work, but inherently array will give the functionality of stack only based on how we are moving the pointers, ठीक है. That is the exact purpose that will be solved by this. Do you want a dry run on this? Do you all want a dry run on this? Let's do a dry run by code simultaneously and then try to do this, है ना. एक बार वो भी देख लेते हैं so that everyone is clear. उसके बाद we'll give a homework problem also for all of them you to learn and then we will try to do this, ठीक है. चलो, so we have a stack here. Let me see if I can open the drawing pad, although it is showing some error. चलो, it's working. Let's put it side by side with the code, ठीक है. तो I'll be continuously swiping, ठीक है. I'll be continuously swiping because I have to do both parts. or I don't think this is going to work because it is not supporting us today. ठीक है, एक काम करते हैं. So that is actually not working. The drawing pad is not ready to, the iPad is not ready to work. Stubborn. Let's try to do a split screen. Not sure if it will work, but we can try. ठीक है, मतलब everyone is comfortable क्या? Are you able to see? तो simultaneously हम visualize कर लेंगे, है ना? Let me just check if it's working well on YouTube also. ओके फाइन, ठीक है. तो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज हैपनिंग ना, एक बार वो देख लेते हैं. ऑल राइट, सो वी हैव अ स्टैक. तो हमने एक नया स्टैक बना लिया पहले तो. अरे यार, आई डोंट थिंक दिस इज गोइंग टू वर्क. So we have a new stack, and this is a ARR array which has the elements 4, 5, 2 and 25. ठीक है. Now what exactly is happening is, तो आपने एक new array भी बना लिया, ठीक है, which is currently empty. We are currently on line 21. ठीक है, I am moving line by line so that everyone is able to understand. ठीक है. Now we come to line number 3. And we are iterating the array from the end. है ना? This is what we are doing. Now what exactly happens is, आप last element लो, which is 25. ठीक है. When you pick the last element, then you basically check if this element is, now currently this stack is empty, है ना? तो ये वाली जो कंडीशन थी स्टैक एम्प्टी वाली, ये कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई नहीं हुई, तो आप यू डिड नॉट गो इनटू द वाइल लूप. ठीक है. नाउ यू चेक इफ द स्टैक इज एम्प्टी. करेक्ट, द स्टैक is empty. Then what you do is, in the ARR or this array, you simply put a -1. That means if there are 4 positions, 1 2 3 4 in this array, at this position we are putting a -1. देखो, if condition में आके हमने बोल दिया -1 रख दो, क्योंकि भाई there is no value that is greater, है ना, तो we put a -1, and in the end we come to line number 39 and we simply put the element in the stack. तो हमने क्या कर दिया, element को सीधा push कर दिया. So now 25 is present in the stack. I hope everyone is with me till this point. ठीक है. The stack was empty, so we did not go into this while loop, है ना. Then we simply check if the stack is currently empty. The stack is currently empty, so we put a -1 in the final array, that is ARR1 array, and also we put the element to the stack. ठीक है. अब आप फिर से आ गए line number 24 पे. Now you saw here that you took the second last element, which is going to be 2. तो हमने 2 को पिक किया, और अब stack तो empty नहीं थी, है ना. And the s dot peak, this was what, the s dot peaks gives you the element at the top of the stack, which is 25. And do you think this condition is true? If the current element is greater or equal than the element at the top of the stack, the current element that we are looking at as 2, and the element that is the top of the stack is 25. Do you think this condition is true? No, right? This condition is not true, so you do not go into the while loop. अगर आपको while loop में जाना है, then both these conditions should be true, है ना? If none of the conditions are true, if even one, then we don't go here. If the stack is empty, no, the stack is not empty. Otherwise, what you do is whatever is there at the top of the stack, that is s dot peak, आप उसको डाल दो ARR of I पे. मतलब यहाँ पे आपने डाल दिया वट एवर इज प्रेजेंट एट द टॉप ऑफ द स्टैक, ठीक है. और फिर आपने एलिमेंट को पुश कर दिया स्टैक के अंदर. सो यू सिंपली पुट 2 हियर, ठीक है. आपने एलिमेंट को पुश कर दिया, ठीक है. अब आप वापस आ गए लाइन नंबर 24 पे. आपने क्या देखा कि नेक्स्ट एलिमेंट कौन सा है, 5, जो मेरे को अब कंसिडर करना है, ठीक है. अब मैंने कंडीशन चेक करी, स्टैक वॉज नॉट एम्प्टी, दिस कंडीशन इज ट्रू, and also this element was greater than the element that is present at the top of the stack. So both conditions of while loop are true, so you simply pop the element. That means 2 is removed from the stack. Then you try it again, but 25 is not greater, so you cannot remove 25, ठीक है. चलो, now we check if the stack is empty. No, the stack is not empty. In the else case, what you simply do is you put the element which is present at the top in the resultant array. So here I put 25 in the resultant array, and then in all the cases I have to push element to the stack, so I push 5, ठीक है. Okay, now we go to the last element that is left, that is going to be 4, ठीक है. Now we check 4, we simply see at this particular point of time that 4 is not greater than the element which is present at the top of the stack. At the top of the stack I had 5, so this while loop will not be true, and we will come here in the else case and I can simply put here 5. Why 5? Because 5 is present at the top of the stack, है ना. 5 stack पे top पे था, इसलिए उसको हमने यहाँ पे रख दिया, ठीक है. ये इम्प्लीमेंटेशन था. एंड उसके बाद आपने क्या किया, यू सिंपली पुट दिस एलिमेंट ऑल्सो 4 ऑल्सो टू द स्टैक, है ना. और इन दी एंड आपने बस क्या किया, सारे एलिमेंट्स को फ्रॉम लाइन 42 टू 44 आपने सारे एलिमेंट्स को प्रिंट कर दिया. सो यू सिंपली प्रिंटेड दीज एलिमेंट्स. क्लियर टू एवरीवन? Is it crystal clear of how exactly we are doing the implementation, how stack is coming to our rescue here and solving our purpose? ठीक है. I have used a dual screen here for like better visualization so that all of us can understand also, right? चलो, very very good. चलो एक और क्वेश्चन करते हैं, ठीक है. लेट्स डू वन मोर क्वेश्चन. लेट्स ट्राई टू सी इफ वी कैन सॉल्व दैट क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो, राइट. चलो, लेट मी जस्ट गो बैक टू फुल स्क्रीन नाउ. ओके, सो द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज ऑल्सो वेरी इजी, ठीक है. अच्छा क्वेश्चन है काफ़ी. विल ट्राई टू सी एंड ट्राई टू विजुअलाइज दैट क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो इन अ सिमिलर मैनर. चलो, आई विल एक्सप्लेन द क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट. ठीक है. गिवन अ स्ट्रीम ऑफ कैरेक्टर्स और यू कैन वेरिएबल से अ स्ट्रिंग ओनली, ठीक है. वी have to find first non-repeating character each time a character is inserted in the stream. Give me a second. ठीक है. This is the question. ठीक है, तो ऐसा होगा, यू विल बी गिवन कैरेक्टर स्ट्रीम बाय स्ट्रीम. ठीक है, डायरेक्टली यू विल नॉट गेट ऑल द कैरेक्टर्स, यू विल गेट ईच कैरेक्टर इन लेट्स से वन आइटरेशन. ठीक है, एंड देन यू हैव टू take the decision of what exactly is going to be the unique character. Let's say example अगर ले, ठीक है, तो the question is very trivial. You have to find the first non-repeating character. ठीक है, that means let's say if it is this A B A C C C, what do you think is going to be the answer? फर्स्ट नॉन रिपीटिंग कैरेक्टर बी है ना, पहला सिर्फ एक कैरेक्टर बताना है. इन द सेकेंड केस इट विल बी ए बी बी ए. इसका आंसर क्या होगा? -1, बिकॉज देयर इज नो कैरेक्टर विच इज यूनिक, है ना. दिस इज द क्वेश्चन. Now try to see how will you solve this question. If there's any doubt about the question, just make sure you ask it. ठीक है, तो यू डोंट जस्ट हैव टू प्रिंट द फाइनल वैल्यू. ठीक है, आपको फाइनल वैल्यू नहीं प्रिंट करनी, आपको तो कैरेक्टर एक एक करके मिल रहा है ना, तो यू हैव टू प्रिंट फॉर ईच ऑफ देम दैट टिल नाउ, टिल दिस कैरेक्टर द यूनिक कैरेक्टर इज गोइंग टू बी ए, है ना. टिल नाउ लेट्स से वन मोर कैरेक्टर कम्स एंड दिस बिकम्स द स्ट्रीम, सो द आंसर इज बी. फॉर दिस 3 कैरेक्टर्स the answer is going to be B, है ना. For these 4 characters the answer is going to be B, 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 है ना. Whenever a new character is introduced आपकी string बदल जाती है. तो पहले आपके पास सिर्फ A था तो आंसर A था, फिर आपके पास A B हो गया तो आंसर फिर भी A रहा, फिर आपके पास A B A हो गया तो अब आंसर हो गया B. अब आपके पास A B A C हो गया, still the answer is B. A B A C C, the answer is again B. A B A C C C, the answer is again B. तो आपको हर कैरेक्टर के कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग यू हैव टू प्रिंट द आउटपुट. ओनली अल्फाबेट्स. टूरिस्ट यू जस्ट हैव टू अज्यूम दैट देर आर ओनली अल्फाबेट्स. फॉर A B A, Anik, the question, the answer is going to be B only, correct? For A B, what do you think is the unique character so far? फर्स्ट नॉन रिपीटिंग कैरेक्टर बताना है ना आपको, तो थिंक ऑफ इट इन दैट वे. अगर स्ट्रिंग ए बी है तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज द फर्स्ट नॉन रिपीटिंग कैरेक्टर? इट इज गोइंग टू बी ए. थैंक यू स्मृति. जस्ट 1 कैरेक्टर, डोंट रिटर्न 2 कैरेक्टर्स. ठीक है, नाउ ट्राई टू विजुअलाइज इट एंड सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन एंड यू हैव टू गिव आउटपुट एट ईच लेवल लाइक आई सेड. फर्स्ट नॉन यूनिक कैरेक्टर, guys please read the question. First character I am saying, for AB it is going to be A only. Now think of it and think of an approach to solve this question. Take 2-3 minutes. I would say just do a good visualization. For AB, the answer is A, right? Any data structure that you want. Any data structure will work. We'll discuss the approach. Implementation you will do yourself. Okay, I would want all of you to think also for different ways that we can actually implement this. So I will discuss the approach, the solution and everything else, but I think the implementation is something that all of you should do ourselves, है ना? तो एक बार फटाफट सोचो first, then I will share the approach. I will give just like 2 more minutes to think. One last minute more. Yes, Anurag, you can use arrays. Akshat, the link and the problem statements and the code and everything will be shared on Discord. Okay, chalo, let's discuss. Okay, let's quickly discuss the solution and we'll see how the implementation will go. Yes, tourist, you're correct. We can actually like store a count in a hash map kind of a structure. Yes, Ayush, you can definitely use a map. That was also good. Yes, Ayush, that is okay. Okay, chalo. Let's quickly discuss the solution. Okay. Let's say I have a stream of characters coming in like this, है ना? और मैंने क्या बोला था? This is the case that is present to us. Let's copy this. ठीक है? अच्छा, now I will make a claim. ठीक है? I will make a claim and you all tell me if that claim is correct or not. Okay, I'll quickly write it on the screen. Now what I am saying is, now do you think here once A is repeated, it will ever be a first non बताओ. Once A is repeated, will it ever become a first non-repeating character again? है ना? यहाँ पे what we saw was कि यहाँ तक A यूनिक था, यहाँ पे भी एक यूनिक था, बट यहाँ ऑल केसेस में ना जब एक बार यहाँ पे एक डबल A आ गया, that means this A will never become unique. So that means this A will never be the answer, है ना? even if one character that gets repeated once, it will never become the answer again. So can we not just do this, that if some character of my prefix matlab start of the string, are not going to be my answer, can we remove them? अब जब हमें पता है कि भाई ये वाला आंसर, ये वाला अल्फ़ाबेट ए कभी आंसर बन ही नहीं सकता, तो इसको रिमूव कर दो ना यहाँ से, है ना. लेट्स जस्ट सिंपली रिमूव इट, बिकॉज वी नो दैट दिस ए विल नेवर बी एन आंसर अगेन, है ना. सो वी कैन सिंपली रिमूव इट एट दिस पॉइंट. एंड यही कॉन्सेप्ट था विच ऑल ऑफ यू हैड टू विजुअलाइज. ठीक है, काइंड ऑफ वी आर नॉट कंसिडरिंग द डिफरेंस ऑफ अपर केस एंड लोअर केस अल्फाबेट्स, राइट. इट्स ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी अ लोअर केस alphabets, all of them that are going to be, or all of them are going to be uppercase, है ना. So what we can simply do at this particular point of time is हम prefix में से, ठीक है, we are not removing all a's, but हम prefix में से ये वाला a simply remove कर सकते हैं, है ना. एक ड्राई रन कर लेते हैं, ठीक है. लेट्स क्विकली डू अ ड्राई रन और फिर उससे समझते हैं. एंड टेल मी, अच्छा अब टेल मी what data structure is best for this purpose, that I have to remove a prefix, that is a character which is present at the start of the string, which came in सबसे early, which came in the earliest, and I have to remove that from my answer. Which data structure can do this purpose very very easily? Q. And यहाँ पे we simply saw the application of Q. That means the stream of characters which is coming in first, they are present at the start and they can simply be removed, है ना. So that is the purpose that we are able to solve here. एक ड्राई रन करते हैं, उससे जो छोटे छोटे डाउट्स आ रहे हैं, I see some people who are having a small doubts, उनसे उनके डाउट्स वो क्लियर हो जाएंगे, ठीक है. Let's say I am taking the string only, ठीक है. So I also have a hash map here to store frequencies, ठीक है, as soon as the characters come in, ठीक है. Now what is simply happening is, let's say पहला कैरेक्टर आया a, ठीक है, तो आपने क्या किया, हैश मैप लिया and you simply took an a and you stored 1, है ना. This is what you did. Now and you, there is a Q also that has a in the front and the answer till now is also a, है ना. अब आया एक न्यू कैरेक्टर that is b, ठीक है. Now again I will take b and I will put it here, ठीक है. And again since there is no repetition because the frequency of b is 1 only, तो मैंने b को simply put कर दिया पीछे, ठीक है. Now what happens is c came into the picture, ठीक. And for this also the answer is a. What is the answer? Which is the element that is present at the front. So the element that is present at the front is simply going to be that part which is going to be unique. So the element, I will write it here also. Character present at the start of the queue will be unique, ठीक है. We'll try to maintain in this way that the element that is present at the start of the queue is always unique, ठीक है. अब now C comes into the picture, तो देखा C की frequency 1 है, that means we are good to go. And we simply added C here also, and here the answer is still A, which is as an element at the start. Now what happens is A comes into the picture. Now the moment A comes into the picture, now it is already present in the hash map with the frequency 1, है ना. So what we will simply do is, we will for the next A that is come, don't add it to Q, ठीक है. don't add it to queue. Frequency तो हमने increase कर दी 2 पे, but we will not add it to queue. And also we will see that this A is present at the start of the queue as well. So we will remove this. And now the element which is actually present at the start of the queue is B. So the answer is B. Let's say अब एक और and also we check the frequency of that B. The frequency of that B is 1, है ना. Let's say now we get another character which is B, है ना. Now what will happen is I will see that B in the hash map is already present, है ना. B in the hash map is already present, so I will simply improve its frequency to 2, but I will not add it here, है ना. And also the character which is present at the start of the queue is B only with the frequency 2, so I will remove it. And now the new character that at the start is going to be C, so for this the answer is C, है ना. Clear to everyone how we are going to do this? Simple and clear explanation. Any doubts? If you want, I can take this up. We are just using queue for the sake of application here. Yes, Anik, you need to basically take frequency. Let's take one more example, ठीक है. Let's take actually one more example और उससे we'll try to learn. Someone was saying let's take this way. So first let's say I get A. तो मैंने क्या किया, I took simply an A here and I put it in the hash map, ठीक है, and I put it in the queue also, ठीक है. And the answer so far is A, because A is present at the queue, front of the queue, and its frequency is 1. Let's say the next character that comes in is B. So B comes into the picture. Again the frequency is 1, so I simply put it. The first character at the start of the queue is A with the frequency 1. So for this also the answer is A, ठीक है. This is what the output is going to be. Now what exactly will happen is, okay, let me check what happened. So then what happened was, let's say another character B came, ठीक है. Another character B came. Now we will see here that B is already present, है ना. B is already present, so we will not add it to the queue also. And here the frequency is 2, है ना. And here you will see that the first character that is present at the start of the queue is A and its frequency is 1. So we simply say A is the answer for this, है ना. Now let's say A again comes into the picture. So for this the answer is A, ठीक है. Now A again comes into the picture, है ना. A again come. अब हम यहाँ पे B को निकाल नहीं सकते क्योंकि B start पे ही नहीं है. So that is why that case will occur. Now what we can simply do is A comes into the picture. Now A is already present in the answer, है ना. A is already present in the answer, so we simply increase its frequency, but we do not add it here. And also the first character that ideally should be the answer is A, but it is repeated, so we do not print it, है ना. Now the start of the queue is B, but when we check its frequency also ना, so that frequency is also 2, so we remove this also. And now since the queue is empty, so we can say the answer is going to be -1. Clear? I hope the next example was also clear in everyone. ठीक है, तो एक काम करते हैं, let's keep some homework for also for all of you. You will try to write the code for this, ठीक है. All of you will try writing the code for this. खुद से एक बार implement करके देखना. We do not have a inbuilt queue, ठीक है. We do not have a inbuilt queue in data structures. We implement queue using linked list, ठीक है. So if you have to implement a queue in the IDE, you will use it using linked list as well, ठीक है. Did everyone had fun learning today? We learned some concepts also. We did theory also in 2 hours, and we were also able to solve all the questions, है ना. So that is the motive that we try to always understand, that we also try to solve questions and we simultaneously solve, complete the theory as well. Okay, I'm really sorry because there are actually a lot of students almost joining in the class. I have more than 600 students who are actually in the class, right? So it's not exactly possible for me to look at each and every doubt that comes in the chat. So I'm really sorry for that, but I try to take up as many questions as that we can. Okay, so I hope the 2 hours that you gave to me today in the morning, and it's I think 1 o'clock already here, they were useful, and you were able to learn something with which you can build the concepts further. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending. I have a second session also at 3 to 5 where we'll be learning sorting and searching. Okay, so that's also going to be a very good lecture in which we will learn many different concepts of sorting, searching and solving questions at that, right? So that will be the motive that we'll be taking here. I also have an Ask Me Anything session just after that from 5 to 6. So if you have any doubts, any placement related doubts, so Sanket and I will be taking that class in which we will be answering all your questions that you have according to the language probably, or you might be facing some issues with placements, internships and everything related to that. So if you have any doubts, you can definitely attend that session, and that will basically help you out to solve all your doubts. Okay, chalo, thank you everyone, bye bye. I will see you in the next class, which will happen at 3 p.m. I suppose. Bye.